Hi, hope you enjoyed the movie. What I'm doing now, I'm just giving an idea of the settings that I use in Topaz. I'll also be using some further snapshots from Topaz and Filmora, so you'll be able to see the settings I use. Actually, I use these settings for just about all my movies that are black and white, aged, 1920s, 1930s. Very rarely will I change from them. I found them to work well for me. If you use AI too much, it can give the movie a plastic feel. So I try and just clean it up a bit and still, keep the viewer, giving the viewer that original feel, but in a much cleaner format. So the Filmora, I usually clean up the audio and upscale it to 4K. I do some tweaks like contrast, but most of the work is done here using Topaz. Topaz here, I'm using two enhancements. I'm using Iris for the faces and Proteus for the denoising and sharpening. But actually I find Artemis is generally just as good and sometimes better. So you have all these models on Filmora. So you can see I'm using the original resolution at the moment, the original frames per second, but it will be upscaled later on. Okay, one thing else you should know, one setting I just want to show. You click here at the moment. I'm not sure if I can show it. Yes. Okay. So the input setting, you should always put black and white, even though it is a black and white movie, because I found that Topaz can give a blue banding even on a black and white movie. So always make sure that is. Input color override. Now, if it's already been color and you want to change it back to black and white, I use this in combination with black and white. I'll just cut this off. I just want to show you some adjustments here. I'm just coming down. This will show you some of the models, but not all of them. Show you the codec settings. Okay. Okay, here we go. This is what I want to show you. Here's Proteus. Now, there are further tweaks I don't want to go into, but I'm giving you the general settings, and I'll use this video for most of my other videos. You can see the quality in this video is not that good, but when you see the finished result, you'll see the enhancements. We have dynamic. This will just put everything at 0. But the manual is the way to go, and let it estimate. Take a sample, let it estimate for you. It does the work. Then I'm using a second enhancement, estimate again. There's further enhancements should you wish to use them. For the AI model, I'm also using Chronos, which is super fast. So I'll pop in some other settings from Filmora, the export settings and any tweaks for this video. But as you watch most of my videos, I'll generally use the same video to describe the settings because they very rarely change. Anyway, thank you for watching again. Like and subscribe, and please stay on this video and I'll show you some more snapshots. Thank you. Here's a nice example of before and after. Before and after. Okay, I'm going to show you the before and after for this movie. Okay, now this is the general settings for all of them on Proteus. You can see to the left, it's, if I zoom in, it's quite pixelated. But over here, Proteus has cleaned it up. Now, I can make it stronger, but I don't recommend it or you get that plastic look. So I'll just play it and you can see both of them, the left and the right. So it's much better. The eyes, the face, the trees, the pixelation is gone. Hopefully this helps you understand some more of the process.